I've been learning about Canadian military history recently, and one of my viewers recommended this video, and it's D-Day from the Canadian perspective. Yeah, I've not really learned about it from this Canadian perspective, so I think that's important. I think Canada's role in World War II deserves more respect, and that's what I try to do with watching these types of videos. So this should be interesting for me to learn. Tell me what you think about it
on Patreon and gain unique perks like an Armchair Historian coloring book, uniform guide, profile pictures, or wallpapers. Hi, I'm Griffin Johnson, the Armchair Historian. In our previous D-Day from the Bird's Eye Perspective video, we examined the British landings at Gold and Sword Beach from a top-down view. We saw how the German beach defenses in both landing zones were, for the most part, quickly overcome against relatively few casualties. Unfortunately, the same could not be said for the landing zones of the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division at Juno Beach. In our final episode in this series, we'll fly across the Juno sector from the bloody struggle for its seaside towns to the daring dash for Kapike Airfield and the Paris-Cherbourg railway line. As a creator and business owner with a busy schedule, finding time to prepare a home-cooked meal is challenging to say the least. Stretching around 8 kilometers from Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer in the east to Courseulles-sur-Mer in the west, Juno Beach was situated in between the British sectors of Gold and Sword. Its most significant landmark was the Kapike Airfield, located some 17 kilometers inland just to the west of the city of Caen. Allied planners had made it a priority to expand Allied air superiority as soon as possible, and the capture of Kapike was deemed an important first step to achieve this goal. The Canadian 3rd Infantry Division had been assigned to assault up the beach, seize the airfield, and sever the Paris-Cherbourg railway line.
Yeah, I think, and also if you just read this one, no other nation supported the war effort like Canada, with a population of only 11 million at the time, and an incredible 1.1 million Canadians joined the armed forces. That's, 10% of the country. I'm sure probably most people in Canada have someone in their family that was part of that. Tell me what you know about it, about your family, any stories from your family about this, about the war itself, if you had any members that joined, but an incredible number. Again, one that should never be forgotten and always be respected.
If possible, the 3rd Infantry Division would also support a potential assault on Caen, with British forces advancing from Sword Beach. Like their British comrades in arms, the Canadian Invasion Force would face units of the German 716th Static Infantry Division, which had positioned themselves in pillboxes and fortified houses in various fishing villages along the coast. The most formidable of these resistance nests were located in Bernières-sur-Mer and Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer, whose large vacation homes provided the defenders with excellent vantage points over the beach, while skillfully positioned gun emplacements could pick off approaching armor at range. Elsewhere, on-rails machine gun teams had the ability to rapidly reposition their heavy equipment to suppress large sections of the beach. At dawn, the Allied Armada offshore opens fire on the German batteries and strongpoints in the Juno Beach sector, as the men of the Canadian 7th and 8th Brigades ready themselves to open the assault on the beach. At 7:30, the first landing craft set off from their assembly points, but the rough waters of the channel quickly slow the advance to the beach. The Germans, in the meantime, have suffered only minor damage from the opening bombardment as they prepare themselves to meet the first wave with withering fire. At around 7:50, landing craft carrying engineer elements of the Royal Winnipeg Rifles are the first to lower their ramps in the Mike sector near Courseulles-sur-Mer, while delayed elements of the Queen's Own and Royal Regina Rifles are closing in further to the east in the Nan sector. Many of the amphibious duplex drive tanks of the 1st Hussars that were supposed to come ashore alongside the infantry faltered in the Channel waters, with only 14 arriving on the beach intact. Lacking adequate armor support, the Winnipeg's men are mercilessly cut down by intense German fire. Further to the west, other elements find the German strongpoints opposing them greatly weakened or already destroyed by the preliminary bombardment. After a brief firefight, the few remaining positions are neutralized as the Canadians begin to advance inland. Further to the east, in the Nan sector, the Regina Rifles similarly managed to silence most of the initial German defenses in front of the Courseulles-sur-Mer in rapid succession, and by 8 o'clock, its men are already advancing into the town itself. Its abandoned vacation homes, however, provide ample opportunity for the Germans to transform its quaint streets into a veritable killing zone, forcing the Reginas to begin the time-consuming task of clearing out enemy snipers and makeshift strongpoints one by one. Just a few kilometers to the east, the Queen's Own Rifles are facing another type of nightmare in front of Bernières-sur-Mer. Sandbars and other obstacles obstruct the way to the beach, forcing the Queen's Own to wade through deep water before making a near-suicidal dash across 183 meters of beach without armored support. Crossfire from several hidden German emplacements, including an 88mm gun, devastates the struggling infantry, and within a matter of minutes, 65 Canadian soldiers lay dead or wounded on the beach. On the far eastern end of Juno, elements of the North Shore Regiment, landing in front of Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer, are faced with a similar predicament as ferocious fire coming from undamaged German positions atop the town's high seawall annihilate the regiment's supporting tanks within a matter of minutes. Meanwhile, the arrival of reinforcements changes the tide of battle at Bernières-sur-Mer as the decimated men of the Queen's Own manage to overcome the Germans and move into the town. While the infantry are finding ways to move inland, increasingly agitated tank crews are finding it impossible to traverse the high curved seawall. As engineers race against time to create makeshift ramps and open other exits off the landing zone, the beach is quickly becoming congested with the incoming tide. In the meantime, advancing Canadian infantry are moving to outflank the last pockets of German resistance. Courseulles, Bernières, and Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer all fall under Canadian control.
Yeah, that's actually really good. I just noticed there the Canadian Scottish Regiment, so there's actually a Canadian Scottish Regiment. Maybe if you have any videos to recommend on that, I'll check them out as well. But you can like see the power here, but you see everything these soldiers have to come up against, even like that tide coming in, squeezing up the space on the beach and things like that. So much to think about, as well as being shot at, obviously. And it's just like putting your like head at the mindset of these men, the bravery that obviously they had to show, but it's just an incredible situation. Like, it's again, like I've never seen or heard about what happened with regards to the Canadian soldiers. To see this and to see it visualized like this it's a lot of different emotions. It's amazing, it's like sad, it's terrifying for them. But yeah, tell me what you think about the production of this so far. It's very engrossing, actually.
By 10 o'clock, the advance southward is ready to begin in earnest. Within an hour, the Québécois regiment stands outside the outskirts of Benny-sur-Mer, while follow-up waves equipped with bicycles rush down to catch up with the vanguard. On the western flank, the Canadian, Scottish, and Winnipeg Rifles link up in the marshes around Sainte-Croix-sur-Mer, while the Regina Rifles and 1st Hussars advance towards the Riviere. With their line broken, the defenders of the 716th Infantry Division are powerless to withstand the weight of the Canadian advance. With the fall of Benny-sur-Mer, the road to Capiquet Airfield and the Paris-Cherbourg railway line now lay wide open. However, just as follow-up units continue to advance southward, the eastern flank is attacked by elements of the 21st Panzer Division. Attempting to push the Allies back into the Channel, the 21st's Panzers drive in between the Canadian and British lines toward the sea. The attack, however, fails to dislodge the Allies, and the 3rd Infantry Division recontinue the advance in hopes of reaching their primary objectives before nightfall. Dashing ahead, elements of the 1st Hussars managed to sever the Con Bayou Highway, while the North Nova Scotia Highlanders and the Sherbrooke Fusiliers fight their way into the towns of Villon, Buisson, and Anizy. With the Canadians now a mere 5 kilometers away from the Capiquet airfield, its garrison panics and initiates a haphazard evacuation. Unbeknownst to the Germans, the 3rd Infantry Division receive orders to halt the advance and dig in for the night and prepare for another expected German counterattack. By the end of D-Day, the men of the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division had established a beachhead that stretched around 16 kilometers inland, which was further than any of the other beaches on the first day of the invasion. In return for this remarkable feat, its men had suffered serious losses during their initial landings on the beach, which were dwarfed only by the casualties the Americans sustained on Omaha. However, the Canadians had fallen short of their primary objectives. Their failure to capture the Capiquet airfield in particular would soon prove to have been a costly mistake. By the end of the next day, powerful German reinforcements in the form of the 12th SS Panzer Division, Hitlerjugend, moved into the area, marking the start of a month-long bitter struggle which would not end until Capiquet was finally captured on July 9th.
Yeah, as I said, what a brilliant production to really see that visualised like that. So yeah, tell me what you think about that. So with regards to things like D-Day in World War II, how do you learn about that at school? Is it from a purely Canadian point of view? Do you learn about it like from the American, British, or the other allies? How do you learn about that in school? What did you know about this? Is this new to you? Did you already know this information? For me, it's like very, very interesting to see. You can see how far they pushed on. Like obviously they never met their objective there, but it was still like an incredible battle they had, or incredible movement. They showed that bravery. We see in a lot of different videos or recollections of different operations for Canadian military, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I want to see more, of course. Again, like all these different regiments and units are interesting to me as well. Tell me what regiment any family members you have that were part of this belong to or have belonged to since then, if they're part of the Canadian military. And yeah, I want to learn more. I've got a few other Canadian military videos I'm going to be watching soon. Recommend any others if you've got any interesting ones. Thanks.